We are live.
Good afternoon. This is the House Judiciary Committee. It's a voting session on the 8th of April, 2022. And we've got a number of bills that we're going to be working through here this afternoon. The first is a bill, House Bill 1078. This is a bill that has some of the technical definitions of marijuana. It was a Jocelyn Pena-Melnick bill, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. The Senate added a technical amendment that added a representative from the Forensic Sciences Division of the State Police and a representative from the Cannabis Council to one of the parts of the bill. It is seen as being technical. And so I would move that we look for a motion to concur in the Senate amendments.
Move to concur.
Is there a motion to concur? Is there a second? All right. All in favor of the motion to concur, please raise your hands. Delegates McComas, Cardin, Erican, Cox, Williams, Shetty, Toll, Shoemaker, Davis, Crutchfield, Moon, Munoz, Jam, Howell, Bartlett, Fisher, and Jones. Anybody opposed to concurring? Didn't think so. That's fine. Then we will concur in the Senate amendments and move on. Now, we are second on the first bill on the list, Senate Bill 612. Senate Bill 612, we're second to E&T. This bill deals with street racing and exhibition driving, and it was passed, I believe, unanimously from the Environment and Transportation Committee, if I'm not mistaken. I apologize. No, it was 24-1. Delegate Otto voted in opposition. In any case, could I ask Claire to please tell us what the bill does as amended, please?
So the bill deals with street racing and exhibition driving. Originally, it also dealt with noise abatement, but that has been amended out. Street racing is currently a crime. The bill specifies point penalties that a person can get for participating in a race or speed contest, and that's 8 points. The bill also creates a crime of engaging in exhibition driving. That's punishable by 8 points. And if your activities either the race or speed contest or exhibition driving results in serious bodily injury or death of a person, then you can get up to 12 points. The bill defines exhibition driving, and as amended, it has to be 2 or more vehicles involved, operating in a reckless manner that results in 2 or more of the following of certain effects, such as excessive abrupt acceleration, skidding, squealing, burning, swerving, swaying, loud or raucous or disturbing noise, grinding of gears, or the wheels of the vehicle leaving the ground, or transporting a passenger in a place on a vehicle that is not designed for transport for passengers, such as the hood or roof. As introduced, the bill prohibited spectating at one of these race or speed contests. That's been amended out. The bill allows a police officer to tow or impound a car that's engaging in any of these behaviors. The penalty for any of this is a fine of up to $1,000. Originally, there was an imprisonment penalty, but that's out unless the conduct results in death or bodily injury to a person. But that's under current law. You can get imprisonment up to 1 year or a fine of $1,000. But the violation is a must appear violation. Creates the crime of exhibition driving, punishable by the same penalties. And that's it.
Do we need to
You
do
need to
amendments?
adopt the committee, the ENT amendments.
All right, then I move the amendments.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. So we have moved and seconded the amendments from the Environment and Transportation Committee. Any discussion about their amendments? All right, seeing none there, all in favor of the ENT amendments, please raise your hands. That is McComas, Carden, Cox, Shetty, Williams, Davis, Crutchfield, Moon, Cham, Jones, Fisher, Grammer, Howell, Bartlett, Lopez. Anybody opposed? Shoemaker. All right, so we're now on the bill as amended. We are there secondary. There's a motion for a favorable and a second. We'll go to Delegate Wanika Fisher first for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm extremely supportive of this legislation. I'm sure some of you know in the northern part of Prince George's County, we've been faced with some of this sort of weird, I don't know how to describe it, but like cycling things. We had a police car damaged recently in the county for responding to the issue. So I appreciate the legislation. I just wanted to clarify, Mr. Chair, I'm a little confused. It's $1,000 fine in 60 days, or does it go up at all on subsequent offenses? What's
There, I think they removed
60 days
the
is out.
Yeah,
60
all
days
that's
is
out.
out. It's just a maximum fine of $1,000
and it
unless
must appear.
it's in serious injury or death.
Unless there's no incarceration involved, Claire?
No, unless it's serious injury or death.
So if there isn't serious injury or death, are you saying it's not a must appear and they could just pay the civil fine? Or
It is a must appear.
It is a must appear regardless. Okay, I just want to clarify that. I'm supportive of the bill, Mr. Chair. I would have preferred to kept I know everyone hold your pearls. I would have preferred to keep the incarceration on this bill. I know, clutch your pearls. But I support the legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm coming home. Sorry. Delegate McComas.
It's the end of the world since Delegate Fisher and I are in agreement, but this is at least going to set a beachhead, because if it doesn't work, we put the screws to them the next time.
All right, Delegate Martin Howell.
Yes, I have a question about the number of points that they're getting. How many points do you get before you lose your license? 12. So this automatically makes them lose their license?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Delegate
they bring them in for an MVA hearing, though, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they
That's
would
just if it's death or serious injury.
right. But yes, they would have there's a process in place, Delegate Howell, that then continues from there, and they would be able to contest the points, but even still, their license would be suspended. They usually have to go through the driver improvement course. So there would be next steps beyond that, but you do not want 12 points.
No, you don't. So this is a good thing.
Yeah.
And you would have
Delegate-
to request that, Mr. Chair. I just want to say to Delegate Howell, you have to request that 30 days within receiving that citation as well to get that hearing.
Right. Delegate Williams, then Cham. Oh my. Williams, Cham, Grammer, and then Tolles. Delegate Williams.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I appreciate this bill. I'm a little sad that the noise abatement portion was removed, but I understand why. I just hope that that's something that we can address next session. As Delegate Fisher said, this is an issue that has really been a hot button for our constituents in the northern part of Prince George's County. I know I've gotten several emails over the years, especially dealing with drag racing on some of our local and state roads, and really just the noise, especially through some of our residential communities with vehicles that have been modified by, upgraded third-party parts and things like that, that have really caused angst amongst a number of our constituents. And so I really appreciate the bill sponsor for bringing this, and hopefully we'll be able to really do more next session.
Delegate Cham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question as I'm reading and trying to answer it myself, but no luck. I had a similar bill that I was trying to get through ENT, because in Hagerstown, we have a major dirt bike drama. Similar, very, very similar to this. I actually tried to put an amendment on this bill, but nonetheless, does the bill talk about or describe the motor vehicle? Like, could it be a dirt bike? Is it just cars, motorcycles? how is it defined in the bill? Like what kind of vehicle, motor vehicle?
It's relates to motor vehicles.
Mhm. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm still lost
So,
there.
I mean, I don't know, don't really have any expertise in transportation law, so I don't know if a dirt bike would qualify as a motor vehicle, but I would,
I believe the bill is street legal from the hearing. That was my recollection. It had to be a street legal registered vehicle.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, all right, thank you very much.
And I'll get the definition for motor vehicle while we're at it, but Delegate Grammer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to clarify the portions of the noise abatement that would have basically banned every single, if I wanted to get a new exhaust that was slightly beyond the limit of the manufactured car, that portion is out completely. Is that correct?
I believe that's true. Claire?
well, there's current law about modifying the exhaust system or noise abatement device of a motor vehicle. A
We
person
removed fine.
modify the is that what you're asking about? The current law on that is not altered, but the bill as introduced was trying to add something else that said a person may not violate that by modifying the exhaust system or noise abatement device in such a way that the noise emitted by the vehicle exceeds any local law limiting noise levels in the local jurisdiction in which the modification occurred. And that is out of the bill.
Is the fine still in the bill?
No, the fine for that new prohibition is out.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Delegate Tolles?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, two of my questions were asked by Delegate Williams and Delegate Jam. So this has been a problem, not just the northern side, not just on the eastern shore, but really throughout all of Prince George's County. So I'm certainly in support of this bill, but I did have a question regarding the noise abatement. Well, I did have a concern rather regarding the noise abatement. And it looks like because it was taken out, there is no way, I guess the question for counsel, for an officer to, if the local county has a noise ordinance, which I actually worked on when I was on the council, can that be tacked on to this? I guess not, because that's not a criminal fine. That's more of a civil issue, the noise ordinance. Like if you were getting a fine for doing this, would the officer be able to tack on some additional fines?
You mean if the person was also violating a local noise ordinance?
Correct. Yeah.
I would think so. If,
Okay.
if in that jurisdiction, there was a local ordinance that they were violating, I would think they could also be, given a citation for that at the same time.
Okay, so that may be something to speak with the local Prince George's County government about, ensuring that even when this passes, they can still add that additional fine onto this. So thank you. Then I did have a question about the scooters as well, what type of motor vehicle, but it looks like Vice Chair Moon answered that question, because scooters are a huge issue in dirt bikes. So it looks like that would not be a part of this, consider it's a moving vehicle, but it's just weird. That
I
would
have a definition of motor vehicle.
I'll defer to you, Mr. Chair.
That's all right. It's 11-135 of the transportation article.
Okay.
Motor vehicle means, except as provided in subsection B of the section, a vehicle that is self-propelled or propelled by electric power obtained from overhead electrical wires and is not operated by rails or on rails. Motor vehicle includes a low-speed vehicle. Moped or motor scooters, this is subsection B. Motor vehicle does not include a moped, a motor scooter, or an electric bicycle. I believe a moped is a bicycle that is designed to be operated by a human power with the assistance of a motor. So that would not be a dirt bike. I think a dirt bike is a motor vehicle. I would read it that way. But a motor scooter is a non-pedal vehicle, has a seat for the operator, has two wheels, of which one is 10 inches or more in diameter. It has a step-through chassis with a rating of 2.7 brake horsepower or less, and the capacity of the engine is 50 cc's or less. Motor scooter does not include a vehicle that has been manufactured for off-road use, including a motorcycle and an all-terrain vehicle. Motor vehicle does not include an electric bicycle. All right, now that we've read the transportation article, are there further questions?
Thank you.
You're good.
Thank you. So I think it just depends on the brand, the bike you have. It sounds like it's a lot of caveats in there. And so, I just hope that this legislation will be an indication to those that are, doing this on our highways that, look, as Delegate McComas said, it's a wake-up call to say that more can come later. So with that, I'll be supporting it with these issues around not adding a scooter in the noise abatement. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, we'll go to a roll call on the favorable as amended. The Vice Chair?
Yes.
Shoemaker?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erican?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Cardin?
And to explain my vote, I am going to be working on that noise abatement language for next year, because I agree with my fellow folks from Prince George's County that we need to start reining this in.
All right. Delegate Conaway is excused. Delegate Cox?
Yes.
Delegate Crutchfield?
Did you hear me?
No.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Sorry.
Davis?
Yes.
Juanita Fisher?
Yes.
Grammer?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
McComas?
Absolutely, yes.
Munoz?
Yes.
Shetty?
Yes.
Cham?
Yes.
Tolles?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
All right, that's 20. Okay, so that is 6:12. We concurred with the Environment and Transportation Committee, and off it goes. Now we're going to go to two pieces of legislation. We'll start with Senate Bill 763 and then go to 861. They both, I don't know if they have connections, but they certainly have kind of come together as amalgamations of a number of different issues that we've dealt with in this committee over this last year and even over the last several years. So Senate Bill 763 does the following. Senate Bill 763, and you all should have a reprint in your packet from all of the amendments. 753, 720, I think it's the amendments that are out there. Okay, it does several things. One, when we received this bill from the Judicial Proceedings Committee, it had at the very front of it, and it still has at the front of it, a report regarding measures the Department of Parole and Probation are taking to improve oversight of offenders who are under the supervision of the division who are involved in homicides. It also asks for information as to the number of offenders supervised by the division that were shooting victims, homicide victims, or charged with homicide or other crimes. That remains in the bill. The rest of the bill, as it came over from the Senate, is basically stricken. And you go to page, what is listed at the top as page 14 of 16. Under page 14 of 16, it begins the language that the Judicial Proceedings Committee passed related to judicial transparency. And it requires the Sentencing Commission to provide information by circuit, so not by individual county, but by circuit, related to the amalgamation of the sentences for different crimes of violence where the sentences came down in those judicial circuits. For those of us who are not lawyers, there are parts of the state where multiple counties make up a particular circuit. For example, Western Maryland is all in one circuit. The part of the Lower Shore is in another circuit. The northern part of the Eastern Shore is in yet another circuit. So this would take the results of sentencings and amalgamate them and put them together so that people had a sense of the number and percentage of sentencing events in each category, the number and percentage of sentencing events that resulted in a departure from the sentencing guidelines, along with an indication as to the reason why the sentences went and departed from the sentencing guidelines. It'll also provide the average total sentence and the average non-suspended sentence. And the information shall be posted on the Sentencing Commission's data dashboard on its public website. This legislation also includes in almost entirely the bill that we heard today related to the Police Training Commission, but more specifically, this legislation that was from Senator Jackson has technical changes to the police reform bills that we passed last year that are addressed in that legislation. It addresses and clarifies when the investigation of a complaint has to go to the Administrative Charging Committee. It says that it is when it involves police misconduct involving a member of the public and a police officer, regardless of whether the complaint originated from within the law enforcement agency or from an external source. It further addresses other issues, also creating a trial board for statewide or by-county law enforcement agencies. It sets up that trial board process in a way similar to the creation of the ACC, followed by a trial board that's in what was House Bill 670 from last year. It then also does technical changes to the Internal Investigations Division of the Office of the Public Defender. And before actually I go to that, I do need to say the one thing it does not do from the bill that we heard today is it does require that the police reform begin on July 1st. It does not allow for a further 90-day delay. The police reform would have to begin on July 1st. Next chunk of the bill is the technical changes that the Attorney General's office needs for the Independent Investigations Division that's going to be set up within the Office of the AG related to police-involved incidents that result in the death of a civilian or injuries that are likely to result in the death of a civilian. It makes clarifications there. It enables the AG to issue subpoenas. It does not, however, change anything with regard to who prosecutes the incidents. The AG, as it initially came over from the Senate, the AG would have the initial right of refusal. This would just say that it still lies with the individual state's attorneys. Last, there is a task force to study transparency standards for state's attorneys. It includes a number of members that are listed in the bill. It will study the possibility of establishing minimum transparency standards for state's attorneys. and develop processes by which prosecutors can collect information and determine what information should be made public and what information may be kept private related to ongoing prosecutions. It's also going to look at existing policies of states' attorneys' offices across the state relating to transparency of data, the charging of crimes, and sentencing. That is Senate Bill 763. It seeks to address a number of different issues while at the same time addressing and seeking to move what the Senate passed as the governor's judicial transparency bill. And so with that, I'll take
Move
questions.
your amendments first.
Let's move the amendments. Could I have a second for the amendment?
Second.
All right. We will do, why don't we do this? Let's adopt the amendments and then we can discuss the whole thing and then go from there. All in favor of the amendments as I've described, please raise your hands. Delegates Cardin, Williams, Cham, Grammer, Howell, Crutchfield, McComas, Davis, Shetty, Shoemaker, Cox, Munoz, Moon, Jones, Bartlett, Lopez. I believe Anderson and Tolles are raising their hands also for questions, but if they're opposed to adopting the amendments, here's your chance. If you're opposed to the amendments, please raise your hands. All right, the amendments are adopted. So we're on the bill as amended. We have questions from Delegate Cardin, then Fisher, then Anderson. Delegate Cardin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real quick, I'm ready to support the bill. I wanted to just ask it seems as if the judges are as happy as, or the judiciary is as happy as they're going to be with this. Is there going to be a disaggregation of decisions or by race and ethnicity as well, so that we can look at how there may be differences in decisions in different circuits based on potentially those kinds of differences as opposed to simply just crimes?
Moment, please. I'll double check. Claire, I don't know that it addresses issues related to the race or gender of people. I think it only does generally, and I think the idea is that, again, I think the balance that JPR tried to strike here was not identifying specific judges, but by providing it in the aggregate that you can find out information about how people are being sentenced in different parts of the state. So it's not necessarily meant to do that, but it does not include.
No, and that's fine. I'm just wondering, like, if you find out, for example, that Circuit 1, Black men are treated very differently than in Circuit 2, for example, that might be interesting information about, but I'm not saying we necessarily should. I was just curious if it's going to do that.
I think we're trying to walk a fine line between allowing for this judicial transparency while at the same time not spotlighting individual judges and trying to protect the independence of that process. I know people are hearing the bells. We're going to continue here. Delegate Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a technical question, and then I have a comment on the bill. Claire, is this Claire's bill?
Yes.
Oh, Claire, on the reprint on line 26, I think it's page 5 of 16. It strikes the charges brought by the state's attorney, and then it says attorney that resulted in convictions. What does that mean? What attorney is that?
Where are you again?
Mr. Chair, I think I'm on it. It says on the reprint on page 5 of 16, line 26.
It's all been struck.
Yeah, but then it doesn't have struck attorney that results in convictions.
It does on my version.
Oh, on mine, I guess I'm confused.
That's all right. All of that is struck. And quite honestly, I think that was, again,
But if it's bold and underlined, I thought struck has the line through it.
No, it has the line through it, at least what I'm looking at. I think that was added in JPR, but we've struck all of that from this.
You
bill.
struck all of that with the new amendments?
Yes, a new version went out to everyone just before the vote session started. So that's.
Yeah,
out
I'm
of-
reading that one at 314.
Yeah,
But
3 pages, at least on the top, 3 through, I think, 14, 3 through 13, all of that was struck from the bill.
okay, I'll screenshot what I'm looking at to Dylan and he can tell me what I'm looking at. I think, I appreciate the work done on this bill, but I do think it's a very slippery road when it comes to collecting data on cases, and we all know so much goes into cases. I also feel, and I want to just say on record that I always say that this committee, we're always at the end of a bad road, never at the start, right? And I think a lot of the things that you're facing in these cases, whatever happens, whatever the victim and or the defendant, you don't get the information of the lack of opportunity. You don't get the information of, horrible housing or abandonment or abuse of the defendant when you're looking at the case. I just think I think it's short-sighted in that way. I also think that, I think when you start something, it doesn't really end. I think more information will probably be added. And I think we know that certain communities are overly incarcerated and overly prosecuted than others. And so I appreciate the goals of this bill. And I appreciate the amendments that have done to make it, I think, less targeting. But I don't know if it honestly makes our community safer. I think good schools make our community safer. I think affordable housing makes our community safer. I think better streets make our community safer. And I just don't know if this version of transparency actually gets us there. And I just wanted those comments out there to my committee members and my concerns with this bill. And it also feels like a very big bill that I don't really feel, at least I, who are in courtrooms every day, has had time to really digest. And so those are my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Delegate Anderson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is not as substantial as Delegate Fisher's, but when you were talking about the bill's amendments in the first part of the bill, you mentioned that there were certain provisions put in by JPR dealing with supervision of people involved in shootings and homicides and things like that.
Yes, it requires a report from DPSCS to report to us and JPR on measures that the department will take to improve oversight of offenders who are under the supervision of the division who are involved in homicides, and the number of offenders supervised by the division that were shooting victims, homicide victims, or charged with homicide, non-fatal shootings, rapes, police-involved shootings, or any crime involving the offender's use of a firearm. This
So
was,
it's
I
just
think,
information.
it's only informational. Yes, it's a report.
All right. So, okay. So in other words, a person who was a homicide victim is dead, but were they under supervision is the question. Is that right?
Say that again.
Person who is a victim of a homicide obviously is deceased, but what
Right.
we're seeking is whether or not that person was under supervision at the time that he was killed. He or she
It
was
would be
killed.
some of the information that we were seeking. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, Delegate McComas.
I'm looking at the testimony for the bill, okay, that was in the Senate. And I just wondered, I think there was some opposition by the State's Attorneys Association and the Judiciary. And I wondered if the amendments of this very big bill have quelled all of their concerns and satisfied that.
The State's Attorneys Association did not want to, and there were state's attorneys kind of across the ideological spectrum who did not want to lose the ability to try cases against police officers who were engaged in misconduct. And so we took that part out of the bill. So the state's attorneys, I believe, are fine with this. As for the judiciary, we have sought mightily to address, they came to us with an amendment regarding the circuit, the issue with regard to the amalgamation by circuit. And we've dealt with that, I think, as well. But I would not expect that we have made them entirely happy. With due respect to the judiciary, I'm not sure that we could find that language at this point.
So would you say then that the state's attorneys are happy with it now?
I think the state's attorneys are not opposed to it now.
Not opposed. Okay, because I noticed, Schellenberger and Harford County state's attorney didn't like it. And then is there any issue with the sheriffs at all? 'Cause I don't see them in here, but I know that our sheriff is always, he's a constitutional officer and always concerned about losing some of his authority. So is that an issue at all?
The bill clarifies what the independent investigative now division would be able to do in investigating police involved deaths. So that it's seeking to clarify any difficulties that individual sheriffs may have had with the Office of the Attorney General on that score.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. The Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to give a big picture commentary here, since a lot of questions seem to be talking about the Genesis bills for some of the provisions here. As I'm reading this, honestly, folks, the most offensive and controversial elements have been removed from the individual bills. And so to the extent you recognize portions of other bills on here, I think it's really only the more or less consensus elements. So if the state's attorneys were opposed to Sidnor's original prosecutorial reporting bill, most of that has been stripped out in what's coming back here. If folks were opposed to, individual state's attorneys were opposed to aspects of the AG powers, again, the hot button elements there have been removed. And likewise on even the judicial reporting, it's been disaggregated and anonymized in ways. And the kicker on that is there's a 3-year sunset on there. So it's really even only a trial report, and it goes away unless we come back later and take further action. So I don't know how much further lowest common denominator we can get on a lot of this stuff than what you see here. And so with that, I'm going to be a yes on the bill.
We're on the bill as amended. Is there further discussion, further questions? All right, seeing none, we're on Senate Bill 763. The Vice Chair.
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Carden,
Yes.
Cox,
No.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher.
Mr. Chair, can I get circled back too?
We generally don't do that.
Then I'm gonna have to be a no.
Okay. Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Rachel Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Tolles,
Mr. Chair, can I explain my vote?
yes.
Thank you. So I did just hang up with the president of the State's Attorneys Association. He said they still had serious reservations about it, but it sounds like there's a sunset, so we can't come back. But with that reason, I will say yes.
Williams,
Yes.
bill is passed 18-2. We're now going to go to Senate Bill 861. This is a Senator Beidle bill that was amended in the Senate. We are amending it again. Senator Beidel's bill now does three things. As it came over from the Senate, it included changes to misdemeanor or felony status for a couple crimes. That is not how the amendments are drafted here. But what Senate Bill 861 does now first is it funds and tasks the Maryland State Police's Gun Center to do work that it's already doing, but continuing to do work related to firearms that are found in connection to crimes. They're seeking to trace those guns back to which they came, and gather information regarding the crime in which the gun was involved. Also, information regarding the individual found in possession of the crime firearm. There's money already in the budget for the gun center. It seeks again to enhance their investigative ability to track where these illegal guns are coming from. It also includes the interlocutory appeal for the state's attorneys. The interlocutory appeal allows the state's attorney to appeal the ruling of a trial court that excludes evidence offered by the state or requires a return of property alleged to have been seized in violation of the Constitution of the United States or of the state of Maryland. Allows the state's attorney's office to appeal that decision. They would be able to appeal it since most of these cases are in circuit court to the Court of Special Appeals, and the process is in the bill for how that works. The third part of the bill is a part of the bill that we have already passed as a bill. It is Delegate Deborah Davis's bill, House Bill 278, that addresses the costs of living report for inmates within the Department of Corrections. It requires the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services to provide further information regarding the annual cost of living for inmates, including the average cost of telephone calls, video calls, and items for purchase at the commissary. It also requires the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services to list the age, race, and sex of inmates currently employed at facilities under the authority of the Maryland Correctional Enterprises. That is what this bill does. There is a yes, that is what this legislation does. And so I'd ask, yeah, we would ask for a motion on the amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Are there further any questions about, well, let's do this. Let's adopt the amendments, then we can take the bill just like we did before. All in favor of the amendments to Senate Bill 861, please raise your hands, and then we'll take the bill as it is. Delegates Moon, Cardin, Cham, Williams, Howell, Crutchfield, Davis, Shetty, Munoz, I think, Jones, Bartlett, Lopez. Anyone opposed to the amendments? McComas, Shoemaker, Munoz, Erican. All right, the amendments are adopted.
Move favorable.
Second.
There's a motion for a favorable and a second. All right, we'll take discussion on this bill, on 861. Are there questions? This is Holly's bill, not Claire's bill. So if you have questions for council, we'll go to Holly. And Holly, if I was wrong in any of my description of the bill, I hope you'll let me know. Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, You get it?
Try it now. Can you hear me now?
Can hear
Yes.
you now, yes.
Fantastic. So the drug dealer loophole, as they call it, that is still closed under this bill. Is that correct?
I beg your pardon?
The use of crime of violence accepted previously, except possession with intent to distribute controlled dangerous substance. So as it was originally drafted, that was amended out of law. Is that currently still in the bill?
That is struck from the bill. The amendment that would strike that or include that back into crime of violence is struck from the bill. So that is not there.
Okay, on page 9, line 14, the new crime, the person convicted with a theft of a handgun, is that currently still in the bill?
That is not in the bill, no.
All right, thank you.
Delegate Anderson.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. And I didn't get a chance to read all the amendments, but with regard to the interlocutory appeal, is there anything in the bill or the amendments that deal with the length of time the appeal within which the appeal has to be filed and then an answer has to be returned so the trial can continue or not continue?
Correct. The interlocutory appeal already exists for some cases already, especially for drug cases. And so the same process that would apply to those cases applies to these gun cases as well. So the appeal has to be made before jeopardy attaches. In all cases, the appeal has to be taken 15 days after the decision has been rendered and has to be diligently prosecuted. The appeal has to be heard and the decision rendered within 120 days. That's the existing process for an interlocutory appeal, and that process would remain under this bill.
Oh, that's the existing process for when a judge suppresses evidence in a drug case.
Yes.
That's
And
right.
the state
Okay.
and the state chooses to appeal.
Great. I did not remember the 120-day part, but okay, thank you.
All right.
And at 120-day, even if it runs afoul of Hicks, it's still it doesn't give a person a Hicks remedy, right?
I don't think it gives a person a Hicks remedy, no.
Yeah, it's because it's good cause.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good cause to go beyond.
All right. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Are there further questions or discussion on Senate Bill 861? All right, we're on the bill as amended. Do a roll call. The Vice Chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Arakan,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cardin,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Rachel Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham.
Yes.
Tolles,
Yes.
Williams
Yes.
with 20. Okay, going to continue on here. Senate Bill 20 has a amendment. Senate Bill 20 has a amendment that will conform Senate Bill 20 this time to the House bill, which the Senate has passed clean. So we got it right, and we're amending their bill so that they can be right. Could I have a motion? I think it's a technical amendment. I believe Delegate Crutchfield.
Second, yes.
There's a
And that
motion
is
and a
correct.
second. All in favor of the amendments, please raise your hands. Delegates Grammer, Moon, McComas, Williams, Cham, Cardin, Howell, Shoemaker, Shetty, Davis, Bartlett, Jones, Munoz, Crutchfield, Arakan, and Lopez. Anybody opposed to, and Fisher, anybody opposed to the technical amendment? Seeing none, amendments adopted. We're on the bill as amended now. Could I have a
Move
motion?
favorable.
Motion for favorable. Is there a second? All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the vice chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Conaway is excused, Cox,
Yes.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Rachel Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Coles,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
It's 20. Senator Klossmeyer, 432. This is a Baltimore County local bill. There are amendments. The amendments make the creation of or someone's involvement in the Orphans Court Judges Pensions Fund prospective. So it doesn't, you have to have paid into the pension fund before you can take from the pension fund, basically.
And it conforms to the House bill.
And it conforms to the House bill. Do you have a question about the amendments, Delegate Cox?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I'm trying to follow the bill numbers and I'm not always hearing, and I apologize.
432.
We're on 432. Thank you.
432, and then I'm getting a signal from across the street that I'm going to have to stop with this one, and then we're going to come back. So 432 is where we are. It's again local. It's a local bill that allows for this to be prospective. I think I've got that right, Holly, correct?
Yes, that's right. It just clarifies the calculation of the pension to start January 1st, 2022 versus backdating. So essentially prospective, and that's all the amendment does.
Okay.
I move the amendment.
Motion for the amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion about the amendments? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendments, raise your hands. Cox, Grammer, Moon, Cham, Tolles, Cardin, Fisher, McComas, Williams, Howell, Shoemaker, Shetty, Davis, Bartlett, Jones, maybe Munoz, can't tell, Crutchfield, and Lopez. Anybody opposed to the amendments? Seeing none, the amendments are adopted. We're on the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, great. Any further discussion? The vice chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cardin,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
No.
Howell,
Yes.
Rachel Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Tolles,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
19. All right, we're going to stop right there. They did ring the bells. It's 4:15. I want to ask everybody to head to the floor. We will do, we're having a committee picture immediately after the second session. So you should stay in the State House a little bit. We'll get the picture done then. There'll be a voting session after that. This has been the House Judiciary Committee. We'll be back a little later to do yet another voting session. And thank you very much.